Mark Higdon. This video is for FM341, and in this video I'm going to walk you through and show you how to add top stitching and some detail lines to your sketches. So if you work with the t-shirt sketch or a pants sketch, any sketch that you're working on, and you want to add some detail lines, whether they're solid or broken to indicate for top stitching, the way that I typically work is I usually work with just a black line and do not have a fill color. So if I'm on the pen tool, to remove the fill color, I'll left click on the red diagonal line, and that will give me just a black line, whether it's solid or whether it's going to be broken. So say I wanted to add some solid lines just to show some fullness to the sketch. Sometimes you see that on sketches. Simply I just use the pen tool and make myself a couple of detail lines. And by having that as a solid line, if you had a white fill to it, it sometimes will cause a shadow and you will cover up some portion of your sketch. So I tend to find that when I'm adding any kind of detail lines, I generally try to keep the line just a black line without any kind of a fill. And again, you don't have to add any detail lines, but I just wanted to show this to you in terms of how you can approach doing this. Any area on a garment where you have a seam, where two fabrics are being joined, generally that is treated as a solid line. If you're trying to show some top stitching where the line is broken to represent any kind of details that might be a bottom hem or a broken stitch line along the end of the sleeve line, what I will do is go to use the stroke tool, which is under window, and come down to stroke. And if you check the dashed line box, typically this will show you then the window for the dash and the gap. And it usually defaults at 12 points, so I will usually do a 6-point dash and a 6-point gap. And then when I use the pen tool, again, not having a fill color, just the black outline, that will enable me to create a broken line that represents sort of a top stitching line. So with the pen, having that box checked will give me that broken line as I'm drawing. Now you'll notice that it went back and defaulted to the white fill, so you always want to check and make sure that you remove that white fill when you're using the broken line. Come back and do a broken stitch line on the other side, and I can do that on the back view of this t-shirt as well. So this is how I go about adding top stitching to a garment. And of course you can change the number of the dash and the gap. I get into that further. I actually will use this tool when I do ribbing on a garment, and I'll show you in terms of how you can change that. But for most top stitching lines that I'm adding to a sketch, I'll do it as 6 points for the dash and 6 points for the gap. So I could add this any point on the garment. This is a prime example that if I had a fill color, you can see that it's causing the shadow and I actually lose part of the detail. So by having just the black line that's broken without a fill color, it doesn't affect in terms of seeing the rest of my sketch. So that's what I wanted to show on creating top stitching. Of course, if you have any questions, always feel free to email me at mark_higdon@fitnyc.edu, and you can always attach the file that you're working on and I can take a look at it and try to help you. Thank you.